Hey, good evening, guys. It's your boy Grandmaster Jordan back again with a brand new episode of Holocron Radio. Good to be here another Friday. Man, this week has been extremely busy. I literally could not get a time to record until today, so episodes dropping a little later than I expected it to, but here we are, episode 10. Uh it's good to be back. Got my new equipment, fully ready, immersive, all the good stuff. So we're ready to get live. We're ready to get some action going. If you hear a little bit of a background noise, laughter, blah, blah, my wife and her friends are getting ready here for a concert. There's a Neo concert here where I am. So yeah. So hopefully it doesn't get too rowdy and everything like that. So um but yeah, here we are. Here we are, episode 10, man. 10 episodes in already. Next thing you know, we're going to be at 20 and then 30. So we're going to keep the ball rolling. We got to keep it going. Thank you for the episode 9 support. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about Thrawn, one of the most beloved expanded universe characters who they have recently brought into the canon. We'll talk about our Jedi Fact of the Week. Our Star Wars Fact of the Week. We'll also do our we'll do a breakdown of the original Thrawn Trilogy, and on top of that, we're going to do our Jedi of the Week as well. So everything is in order. So without further ado, allow the Grand Master to open the holocron, and let's get started. First things first, we're going to talk about our Star Wars Fact of the Week. In the legends, Thrawn was the only non-human to achieve the rank of Grand Admiral in the Galactic Empire. Palpatine valued Thrawn's tactical brilliance enough to overlook the Empire's anti-alien prejudice. Thrawn's knowledge of threats beyond the known galaxy, including the Yuuzhan Vong, made him an invaluable asset. His promotion demonstrated that in rare cases, extraordinary ability outweighed the Empire's racism. Thrawn was a tactical military genius. You have to understand that it's a dime a dozen within the Empire. The Empire ran itself through fear and overwhelming force. Thrawn was a different breed. You kind of see it in Rebels, and you kind of see it in Ahsoka, how he is, but Thrawn is a different breed in the Legends comics, or not Legend comics, but the Legends runs. He showed tactical brilliance beyond any type of officer that Palpatine has ever had. Now, honestly, if Palpatine would have listened to Thrawn, there would be no rebellion, whatever the case may be. But that's a whole different situation. What I love about Thrawn's character is that we're introduced to him a couple of times through, when he was with the Galactic Republic. He's a Chiss. He's part of the Chiss species. We see him in Outbound Flight. So if you've read that book, you know of him from there. But he's, when Thrawn was introduced to us through the Thrawn Trilogy and Heir of the Empire, all that good stuff, Thrawn's knowledge and military genius really showed why he was promoted to that Grand Admiral and why he was thought of as the replacement for Emperor Palpatine after Return of the Jedi. And so that is why Thrawn is a goated character. I don't think you guys understand how excited I am to talk about Thrawn and the trilogy by Timothy Zahn. This is the episode I've been waiting for. I've been waiting for this. So let's get into it. Let's actually dive into our main topic today, which is we're going to be breaking down the Thrawn Trilogy so you guys can kind of get a grasp of what the Thrawn Trilogy did for Star Wars before we even had the prequel trilogies. I want to make something come to light here. A lot of people will disrespect the expanded universe, say it's trash, blah, 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 blah. But for a lot of us, the expanded universe, we had the expanded universe before we had the prequels. We had the expanded universe after the prequels, before we had Disney canon. So the expanded universe grew off the back of, honestly, the Thrawn Trilogy. We'll start with the Heir to the Empire. It's the first book in the trilogy. It's set 5 years after Return of the Jedi. It introduces us to Grand Admiral Thrawn as the Empire's new leader. So he's leading the Imperial remnants through the strife and whatever the case may be. It also introduces us to Luke, Leia, and Han attempting to build and strengthen the New Republic. So mind you, the New Republic is a couple years old at this point. So like there's a lot of different things going on trying to reignite what the Republic was. So now you have the New Republic. This is also one of the first appearances of Mara Jade. Very important character. This also introduces us to Joruus C'baoth. He is an insane dark Jedi clone from a Jedi that was, if I remember correctly, the original Joruus was a Jedi from the Clone War era, but I'll have to backtrack and see, but I believe that is it. And he was cloned, and now the clone is insane. That makes a lot of sense there. This book, the reason why this book is very important, and the reason why the trilogy is important, because it reignited Star Wars before the prequel. This is what started the rave for more Star Wars content. Timothy Zahn basically said, I'm sorry, I'm bored, we don't have anything since Return of the Jedi, and here we go. And I'm not saying he was bored and just did. I'm saying, like, he wanted Star Wars, and he gave us a Star Wars story, and this was a banging book. You step into Dark Force Rising. So you'll step into Dark Force Rising. In Dark Force Rising, you basically see Thrawn is now searching for the legendary Katana fleet. What is the Katana fleet, you may ask? The Katana fleet was a massive fleet of over 200 Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers that were launched by the Galactic Republic in 46 BBY. Okay, so mind you, 46 BBY, okay? I want you to understand something here. Let's understand something. So 46 BBY, right? Okay. Follow me here. This was a legendary fleet that launched before the events of this. So in 46 BBY, this is when the Jedi were still around. This is right before we get to Phantom Menace. So this is what it was. So the fleet was lost on its maiden voyage when a hive virus drove the crew insane, and its captain jumped the ships blindly into hyperspace. Now, why are these ships important? It's because they ran off a limited crew. They didn't need that many crew to run the ships. And, like, to the extent of that's what it was like when the Katana fleet was launched. It was basically to show like military might for the Republic and everything. The Republic used to pour money through a lot of different experiments and whatever. Now, mind you, let's take a look at a timeline here. So, Return of the Jedi happens in 4 ABY, so after Battle of Yavin. You add in the 5 years to that, that's 9 ABY. So now you take away 46 BBY from 9. Make sure I'm doing this right. So in 46 BBY minus the 46, let's see, minus 46 plus the 9. Oh, Jesus. I cannot. So 46 minus the 46, that's 40. There it is. So 46 years. So 46 years and then plus the 9. Why am I making this more complicated? As you guys can see, I'm horrible at math. Whatever. Anyways, for 55 years, this fleet was lost. Now, the New Republic catches whiff of this and was like, no, we can't let this guy have it. Because here's the thing. The Katana fleet, even 55 years later, is still a top-notch fleet. And it changes the balance of powers. These ships could stop Super Star Destroyers. Like, they were on par with Super Star Destroyers. And you guys have to understand how big a Super Star Destroyer is and the weapon capabilities, all of that. I'm not going to run down the specs of it, but basically the Katana fleet was a little bit better than what the Super Star Destroyers was. There was also a lot of political tension that was growing inside the New Republic because, again, you had a lot of people not trusting each other. You had Garm, Iblis versus Mon Mothma. You have a lot of different avenues here, too. Then we also have the Mara Jade and Luke Skywalker relationship. It's growing into something more than what we can imagine. Now, mind you, before we get the true backstory of Mara Jade in the comics, whatever the case may be, a lot of people don't know what's going on. But Mara Jade was an emperor's hand, so she worked alongside the emperor for a very long time, up until his death. When the Emperor Palpatine died, he sent her a force vision, basically commanding her to kill Luke Skywalker. And it's been her mission ever since to kill Luke Skywalker. This also goes to show the manipulation that she went through with the Emperor. So as you can see, as Mara Jade is trying to understand her feelings for Luke Skywalker, she's also trying to understand is she trying to kill Luke Skywalker because she wants to do it to avenge her master, or is it because her master is telling her to do it and she's still working for her master through that way? So there's a lot of tension on that part as well. Now, in the end, Thrawn ends up getting 178 of the ships, and then the remaining 22 ships goes to the Republic, the New Republic. This also sets up the trilogy's climax at the end of things. So then you have the final book, The Last Command. You have the battle for the future of the galaxy continuing, because now you have a two-pronged war going on, because you have Luke leading a strike squad, because remember when I said that these ships didn't need a lot of crew? They still need over 2,200 people. So let's put that in perspective here. To operate one of these battle cruises, you needed 2,200 people to operate them functionally, whatever the case may be. You times that by 178, you need 391,600 people to operate these machines. The New Republic thought they had that solved because they was like, oh, well, there's not a lot of, Imperials that are doing that. Well, no, that's not true, because my guy Thrawn, who's always 10 steps ahead of everybody, was using a cloning facility that the Emperor used to use. So this cloning facility was just cloning Imperial workers at mass rates and putting them on the ships, and that's how he was operating the Katana fleet. Also, side note, the side story about this too is that you have Joruus, remember, Dark Jedi. He wants, as basically a prize for helping Thrawn, he wants Leia, her unborn twins, and Luke as apprentices. Thrawn promised them to him for helping him achieve the power he has. Because without Joruus, Thrawn doesn't have the military might to do what he needs to do. And so that is the agreement that they created together. Well, Joruus is like, I'm grown impatient, I need them now type of thing. And yes, through this whole trilogy, yes, Leia is pregnant with Jacen and Jaina. Leia ends up giving birth to Jaina and Jacen in this book. Luke goes to the Wayland with Mara Jade, Han Solo, Lando Calrissian, and another guy to go confront Joruus at Mount Tannis, in the planet where they're making the clones and everything like that. Mara finally overcomes her Palpatine's command to kill Luke. It's a two-pronged thing of how she does this, and I'll get to that in a second. In this book, we have the infamous Luke clone, a clone of Luke Skywalker made from the hand that he lost during his battle with Darth Vader. And this clone is using, as we like to call it, the Youngling 3000, the lightsaber he lost on Bespin as his lightsaber. Again, hey, I can't even be mad at Tim. He cooked here. I can't be mad. So that's what we have here. If you ever hear about Luke, this is the Luke Sky. Yeah, it was crazy. Anyways, the way this happens is that Luke Skywalker is able to finally defeat Joruus, and Mara Jade gets over the Palpatine command by actually killing Luke Skywalker. And Thrawn, ironically, the way this ends for Thrawn is kind of sad, because like I felt like it might have been a rushing ending. Of course, you know how trilogies go. The first is great, the second is goated, and then the third might have been over the top, but it was still a good book overall. It was still a good book because, I mean, you did get we got some good closure for everything, basically, right? Well, Thrawn gets killed by his Nagri bodyguard Rook in revenge. So the Nagri was a group. It's kind of hard to explain, but basically, the Empire bombed or did something to their planet. I have to go back and read it again, but they did something to the planet. Rook was just playing along, basically, and he ended up just killing Thrawn because it was revenge. He gets killed himself, but it is what it is. So in the end, the Empire understands that it's now defeated, so it has to retreat. The New Republic secures a major victory. Luke Skywalker is now free to, basically, this is the start of him going and creating his Jedi Academy, and it also starts the relationship between him and Mara Jade as friends that are eventually become lovers, type of thing. He even gives her the lightsaber, his lightsaber, or his dad's lightsaber, as a token of friendship because she lost her own during the battle. This was an interesting story altogether. I truly do love the Thrawn trilogy because it matters. And let me tell you why. The Thrawn trilogy matters because it revived Star Wars publishing in the early 1990s. So that's when we're getting like nothing, and then like Timothy does what he needs to do, and then it's like, all right, well, we need to start publishing stories. And then slowly it proved that there was a massive demand for post-Return of the Jedi stories or even prequel stories. It introduced iconic characters like Mara Jade, Thrawn, Gilad Pellaeon, and it became the foundation. Like I said before, this was the very foundation of the expanded universe. And it inspired elements that were later adapted into the modern canon and the movies, whatever. You don't have Coruscant without the Thrawn trilogy. George Lucas literally pulled from the Thrawn trilogy some of the pieces that created the prequel trilogies. So the next time somebody says that George Lucas didn't care about the expanding universe, he cared enough to use the pieces for it for his own story. So that's all I'm gonna say there for now. Did Disney miss an opportunity? Yes, it did. Disney missed a huge opportunity with the Thrawn trilogy. They missed a huge opportunity. Now I know a lot of people are going to be like, "Well, he was in Rebels and he's in Ahsoka." I'm sorry. Thrawn is arguably a top 3 Star Wars villain. I remember when I made my top 10 Sith list, but as far as villain for Star Wars, he's top 3. He's a top 3 villain who deserves better than just a show. Granted, the shows make him menacing as possible, but it's not the menacing part. It's the intellect that made Thrawn so good in the trilogies. And the thing of it is that with how Disney has been missing the mark on a lot of different things. I will say that if you made it a Thrawn trilogy and didn't put a disclaimer on the movie saying that this is not part of canon, whatever the case may be, or this is a Legends thing, or this is an expanded universe project, or whatever the case may be that you want to do for it, do that. Because I think, honestly, at this point, I'm going to say this, you guys can get mad at me, but I don't care. I believe 65% of the fandom would rather see a Thrawn trilogy set 5 years after Return of the Jedi than the sequel trilogy that came out with Disney. I truly believe that. And if that's just that is my opinion. This is my opinion. If that's something that's maddening to you or whatever the case may be, don't come, mad at me in my comments about it. That's just, again, my personal opinion. Because I'm very passionate about the expanded universe. As you can see, I talk a lot about it because a lot of people don't understand what the expanded universe does for me. Because this is what I came into. So, you got to understand that. So, all right, guys, we're gonna move into our Jedi of the week. Our Jedi of the week, Ben Skywalker, not Ben Solo, Ben Skywalker. He is the son of Luke and Mara Jade Skywalker, obviously, right? He was trained by Luke and Jacen Solo. He fought in the Second Galactic Civil War and against the One Tribe Sith, or the Lost Tribe Sith. He worked with his cousin Jaina Solo. He helped battle Darth Caedus, Jacen Solo's. He has a tremendous legacy after it. I mean, we don't get to see Ben Skywalker realistically grow into the Jedi Knight or the Jedi Master that he's destined to be. But we know, if you know who Cade Skywalker is, he's a descendant. He's a descendant from Luke, which means he's a descendant from Ben. And Ben probably did some really great things in his lifetime, just like his dad. And I think the unfortunate part is that with Disney closing the door on Legends and not giving us closure on a lot of different characters like Ben Skywalker, we don't get to see full potential. I will say this though, I'm currently shout out to her name's Maddie. Shout out to her. She is a wonderful writer. She's writing a script right now for a fan film. And I'm glad she's doing something with like Alana Solo, Ben Skywalker, Jaina Solo. I'm so glad she's doing something with those characters because it can finally bring closure to. She's doing something that can bring closure to the expanding universe. I'm doing something right now that can, extend the expanding universe into something else. So many different avenues and everything like that. There's a lot of us, like, not to sidetrack here, but there's a lot of us out there that love the expanded universe so much that we are willing to continue its legacy because we know that for a fact that Disney is not going to honor the legacy that Star Wars had. Like it's showing at this point. It's very showing. I'm not going to talk down on Disney at this point in time. Like that's just not what I do. But I will say that Disney doesn't respect the source material that it's already had and the foundation for a lot of different things. We have to understand that Disney is a corporation. Disney is going to want to milk every dollar out of a person, whatever the case may be. And we also have to understand that Star Wars might not be marketed towards older fans anymore. I mean, it shows when you're making movies like Grogu and Mandalorian and everything like that. And it shows when the Grogu toy line and all that stuff like that. It's for kids, and we have to, and that's something I came to understand. I just miss I miss the gritty Star Wars days of the grit and grind. I miss it. So that's why I like the expanding universe. A lot of people hate the expanding universe because they're like, oh, it's a bunch of power scaling and trying to one up each other and everything. No, I don't. I truly just don't see that. I genuinely don't see that. I see it for what it is. Because the thing of it is, with the expanding universe, is that you have so many authors that love Star Wars, put their heart and soul into it, and created a coalition of books, movies, games, comics, and you could spend hours, days, just combing through this stuff and just picking out like some of your favorite stories, your favorite eras in Star Wars. Like, it's just so much. The lore is deep. And the problem with Disney is that it doesn't want to scratch that surface to me. So that's why we need to continue on with these conversations about the expanding universe, because it wasn't scared to scratch the surface of what is beyond the 6 movies. So That's just, little rant there. But Ben Skywalker is Jedi of the Week. Sorry about that. Well, guys, here we are towards the end of things. Another good episode, I believe. You guys got to let me know. Like, do you want longer episodes, shorter episodes? Like, what do you want me to do for my podcast? I really want to know from you guys. Do you want the longer formatted episodes, or do you want to keep it where I'm at, or do you want it shorter? Like, what do you guys like about the podcast? What do you don't like about the podcast? Let me know. Also, outside of Palpatine and Vader, was Grand Admiral Thrawn the greatest villain Star Wars has ever seen? I want to know your opinions. Let me know. Whew. Man, I've gone through a lot. Our next episode is going to be episode 11. We're going to be talking about Luke Skywalker's first students for his Jedi Academy in the Legends continuity. We're going back to my favorite era, the new Jedi Order. We're going back to it. We're going to learn about Luke Skywalker's very first students, what happened to them, and how did the new Jedi Order basically evolve. So we're going to talk about that next episode. We're still growing steadily, still doing this. I am very happy. I'm sorry for being late. I'm not going to promise you guys a time for next week. Just know that Holocron Radio will be out Friday next week too. That's all I can tell you, because I don't want to promise you guys anything and I'm not going to follow through. So, guys, thank you guys for supporting. Thank you for the channel growth. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for helping me achieve my goals. And thank you guys for supporting me. I truly appreciate every single one of you. And I hope you guys have a wonderful Friday, a wonderful weekend. And always remember, may the Force be with you always. Have a good night, guys.